Hello, Shoyan here. Last time, I finished installing the flooring and kamachi at the entryway. Today, I'm adding a coen and some shoe storage to wrap up the remaining work. In the last video, I installed the entryway floor. There's going to be one more step called a coen, also known as a shikidai. It'll be a two-step entryway with two kamachi. The height from the stone entry floor up to the kamachi's top is about 300 millimeters. So I made the upper kamachi about 150 millimeters high and the lower one for the coen about 135 millimeters. I start by installing the lower step, the coen. The entry floor, where people come in with their shoes on, is finished with black stone. It's pretty hard to find this kind of design these days, even if you want to, so we'll keep it as is. Just like the original, I'm setting the kamachi alongside the concrete. I'm actually doing the process backwards. Normally, you do this the other way around. The problem is, there's nothing to set the kamachi on top of. So, I've spaced out some 120mm square foundation shims that are 2 centimeters thick underneath. I glued them down on top of the original concrete with urethane glue so the height isn't perfectly even. I'll adjust the position of the kamachi on top of those and set it in place. Normally, it's not great practice to place timber right on top of concrete in a finished entryway. But the original timber was made of cedar and installed like that. Even after 50 years, there isn't a single sign of termites or discoloration. Since I'm using hardwood hinoki cypress this time, I figure it'll last another 50 years without rotting. I'm really not worried about it at all. For the coen's floor, I used joistless hinoki cypress laid at a right angle to the kamachi. Once the floorboards are installed, the bottom kamachi won't move, but until then, it might shift a bit. So I run a few joists from under the upper kamachi to keep it secure front to back. This kamachi also extends over to the shoe storage side at a right angle, using a short piece. So the coen and the shoe storage will be on the same level. I was able to secure the kamachi firmly in place, but since there's nothing underneath to fasten it to, I make sure to glue it down well. There's nothing under here, so I figured out a smart way to install it. Nobody's going to step under the storage shelves, so as long as it's secured properly, the floor structure is enough. The depth of the coen ranges from 375 millimeters to 390 millimeters. Since I'm forcing the boards in at an angle, I chamfer them generously. However, if I chamfer too much, they just won't fit right. I make sure to find just the right size chamfer. I carefully check each piece, chamfer it, and fit it in place. It's a right angle installation, so I start with the corner, which is always the trickiest spot. If I started from the back or the short side first, the boards wouldn't line up evenly overall. So I tackle these tough areas first. As usual, I glue and screw down the floorboards. Especially when you're working with exposed light-colored wood like this, such as columns, kamachi, and floors, wood glue is better than urethane glue. If something takes time to fit perfectly, wood glue is a good choice because it doesn't harden too quickly. It also wipes off easily if it squeezes out, doesn't leave stains, and won't discolor when you stain or paint the wood later. So, for light-colored exposed wood, I always use wood glue. Next, I install the new baseboard right over the old tile one. The wall sticks out a bit, so I run the baseboard along that. It might sound odd to call it an entryway baseboard, but it works the same way. The side wall goes here. I finished installing the coen with an L-shaped hinoki floor. Now I move on to building the entryway shoe storage. I'll cover the outside with cedar planks and make adjustable shelves inside. I start with the shelves. There's no point running adjustable shelves all the way up to the ceiling, and you'd see them from the entryway too. So I put in a head jamb on the inside of the column, about 2,100 to 2,200 millimeters up from the stone floor. Shelves up to that height are plenty. I use hinoki cypress for the shoe storage's head jamb. I'll be doing more work later with hinoki columns and a head jamb in front, so it makes sense to have them match. Using hinoki for the head jamb might be overkill if it's only for the shoe storage. But good woodwork is all about how nice the material looks and ensuring everything matches. So this isn't the place to cut corners and go with a cheaper option. A few videos back, I built an oshiire and installed cedar boards horizontally. But this time, the boards are 3 meters long, and since the height is about 2100 millimeters, it's actually more efficient to run them vertically. The front sliding door also has vertical bars, so running the boards vertically continues that line nicely. Plus, there's almost no waste. That's why we're installing the boards vertically for this entryway storage. Next, like I mentioned before, I set up the columns, vertical panel, and head jamb in front. This entryway is nearly 3 meters wide. There will be a walkway for the family in front of the shoe storage. The entryway is split in two, the front side for guests and the side for the family. Honestly, I'm not sure the family will always use the side path, but these days it's common to have an entryway just for family members. There's shoe storage, and instead of a door, a short curtain probably goes here. So I'm building the column and partition to divide the entryway into two. I start by putting up the column on the wide entryway side, right on top of the kamachi. It's pretty unusual to place a column on the kamachi, but the ceiling's already finished, so I can't really do anything fancy above or below. I've got no choice. The floorboards are solid wood, so I made the kamachi slightly proud of the floorboards. I notched the column by that amount and then secure the bottom part. I don't usually cut a 3mm shoulder like this, but I adjust on site as needed. This is the finishing stage, and it's for an entryway that adds exposed columns after the kamachi is already in place. So I really took my time to get it right. I join the bottom first and then push it up to the ceiling. The ceiling is backed by a frame, but even with a slightly longer column, it'll lift up by pushing it upward at an angle. Since the walls aren't finished yet, I cut the column about 1 to 1.5 millimeters longer. I'm glad the ceiling wasn't finished yet. That made this easier. Thanks to your continuous support, our channel just hit 400,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. But actually, over 80% of the people who watch aren't subscribed. I always talk with my son about whether I'll retire or hit 1 million subscribers first. If possible, I'd be really happy if you hit the subscribe button and help me retire with that 1 million subscriber milestone as a kind of send-off. I know it's a bit cheeky to ask, but if even 10% of you subscribed, we'd really appreciate it. I also install a hinoki head jamb at the front, then put in a column under that head jamb. The column stands on the entryway stone floor. The top is secured to the head jamb, and the bottom needs a little creativity to set in place. There will be a wall here that splits the entryway in two and also serves as a privacy wall. This exposed wall is built for various purposes. I first attach the stone base that goes at the bottom of the column, kind of like putting on shoes. If you just set it there, it can move. I had them drill a hole in the stone beforehand, so I drive a long screw up from the bottom of the column into it. I can secure the top of the column to the head jamb by screwing down. But since there's no good way to anchor the bottom, I run a piece of wood that also acts as a baseboard. I can't secure the column to a regular thin baseboard, so this is kind of like a threshold. I secure it firmly in place, and then I secure the second column. Now I've finished cutting all the pieces. I start securing all of them. If I secure each part one by one right after cutting, it squeezes the rest, making things too tight and harder to fit the other pieces. I still work step by step, but I prepare all the parts first, then secure them at the same time. I always take my time with this part and try not to rush it. The top area is left open. If I ran shelves all the way up, guests standing in the entryway would see the shelves at the top. That's what I was talking about earlier. The entryway would feel less spacious after the wall is all the way up. Also, the area is divided in two, so it might feel a bit wasteful not to use that big space. But this way, guests will feel the entryway looks neat. Now I've finished the remaining work on the entryway, the coen and shoe storage. It seems guests will use the main side and the family will use the narrower side. It turned out to be a pretty nice entryway. The renovation is almost done. There's just the Engawa left to do. I'll get to that soon. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.